Welcome to HardScript.
Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. She told me, no contact while I'm gone. Deal with it. I didn't argue, just nodded, like a man hearing weather, not words. By the time her plane lifted off, my phone was already silent, notifications off, screens dark. Maya called it a mental reset. I called it what it was, distance disguised as self-care. My name's Ethan Cole, 35, cybersecurity consultant. I build firewalls for a living, but somehow missed the breach happening in my own house. Maya, my wife of 6 years, runs a fitness channel on YouTube. 500,000 followers, brand deals, her face on every Planet Fitness banner within 50 miles. She lived for the algorithm. I lived for logic. That was our balance, or so I thought. The first clue came from a Verizon data report. A routine security check for a client. I noticed a second device logged into our shared Wi-Fi, named Aiden Fit. Harmless, maybe, but the IP matched one that pinged from Austin the same day she left for her content trip. I didn't jump to conclusions. I just opened a notebook and wrote 3 words: trace, verify, confirm. While she posted sunrise workouts from hotel balconies, I tracked metadata, file origins, timestamps, GPS shadows in her clips. She'd blurred more than her background. Every upload told me where she'd been, who'd filmed her, and that her solo trip wasn't solo. The man behind the camera wasn't random. His reflection showed up in her sunglasses once, broad shoulders, gym wristband, the same logo as her new sponsorship. At night, I'd eat Chipotle in silence, her laughter echoing through my headphones as I scrubbed through her live streams. Not jealousy, analysis. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. That's emotion. I deal in evidence. Before she left, she said, "Don't blow up my phone. It's bad for engagement." So I didn't. I built a system that recorded every digital footprint she left instead. 5 days later, her followers started speculating about the guy in the reflection. She joked it off. I archived every comment. When her plane finally landed, she expected me waiting. Same smile, same flowers. But the man standing at arrivals wasn't holding roses. He was holding proof. Maya walked through the terminal in her white hoodie, hair in a perfect ponytail, scrolling her phone as if the world existed to film her walking. She looked up expecting my smile, the same old pickup routine. Instead, I just stood there. No flowers. No words. Her smirk froze halfway. The silence between us felt heavier than any confrontation could have been. She said something about traffic, about how exhausting the trip had been. I just nodded, took her luggage, and led her to the car. The Subaru Outback hummed quietly as we drove through the airport exit. She talked about her new brand partnership, about shooting at Whole Foods and staying at a wellness resort. Every word rehearsed. I didn't respond. My eyes stayed on the road, my mind on the data stored across 3 encrypted drives at home. By the time we got home, she was already back on her phone, replying to comments, uploading another reel. I walked past her into my office, the one room she rarely entered. It smelled like cold coffee and quiet focus. I inserted the drive labeled Trip Audit. Folder after folder opened, metadata, GPS trails, even private messages she thought she'd deleted. Her no contact week had included more than workouts. She'd been tagged in geofenced posts from a Planet Fitness location in Austin, same city, same time as the IP logs. And the man, Aiden, wasn't just a follower. He was a fitness instructor with a verified account, known for personalized coaching and a reputation that wasn't professional. I didn't rage. I documented. Message screenshots, timestamps, content permissions. All traceable, all legal. While she showered, I prepared a quiet firewall of my own, digital, financial, emotional. I removed her access to joint accounts and cloud backups, transferring every shared project into my name. She wanted no contact. She'd get it, publicly. That night, she called out from the kitchen, asking if I wanted dinner. I said nothing, just watched her reflection on my monitor, smiling for her next video, while my cursor hovered over a single button labeled Unlink Account. When I clicked it, her face vanished from every shared folder. Clean, quiet, final. The next morning, she noticed the first change. Her YouTube Premium dashboard showed an error message, access revoked. She frowned at the screen, muttering that something must be wrong with her login. I just sipped my coffee and said the servers were probably sinking. She believed it. She always did when technology failed her. She lived online, but never understood the machinery behind it. That's where I lived. In the code. In the silence between clicks. While she filmed a breakfast routine in the kitchen, I logged into our shared production account from my office. I didn't delete anything. I simply shifted permissions, one layer at a time. Her sponsors' contacts were now routed to my personal inbox. The collaborative branding deals under our LLC, her name quietly replaced with mine. She'd never notice until a contract needed renewal. I wasn't destroying her career. I was reclaiming mine. For years, I'd built her platform's backend. SEO, analytics, brand negotiations, while she smiled into cameras, calling herself self-made. At noon, she left for the gym, still unaware. I watched her location ping from Planet Fitness, then a small cafe downtown where Aiden tagged himself an hour later. Their circles overlapped like clockwork. Predictable. That's the thing about people addicted to attention. They reuse their patterns. I didn't follow her physically. I followed her data trail. Aiden's phone was on a public Wi-Fi network. His connection exposed everything. Geotags, shared photo caches, even the private drive he used to upload training videos. It took 10 minutes to confirm what I already suspected. Their so-called coaching sessions weren't filmed for her channel. When she returned home that night, glowing and tired, she said the trip had given her clarity. I looked up from my laptop, pretending to be distant. She took it as guilt, maybe fear. But my silence wasn't weakness. It was calibration. Every move I made was quiet, deliberate, invisible. She thought she'd built a brand on control. She was about to learn what real control looked like, when the system you live in stops responding to you at all. She woke up the next day to a storm she couldn't post her way out of. The fitness page that had been her kingdom was glitching. Thumbnails vanished. Comments disappeared. Her scheduled posts were replaced by a simple banner. Content unavailable. She rushed into my office holding her phone, asking if I'd seen what was happening. I kept my tone calm, almost bored, and told her maybe the algorithm was resetting. She cursed the platform, her manager, her luck, everyone but herself. I just nodded. Silence is the most efficient firewall there is. While she spiraled, I was already 3 steps ahead. I'd mirrored her entire social presence into a private archive, including the conversations she'd tried to delete. One particular chat thread stood out. Her business partner had sent her a message about how discreet hotels are better than shared Airbnbs. It wasn't the words, it was the timestamp. It matched the same night she'd posted a motivational video about discipline and loyalty. By afternoon, she drove to Whole Foods to clear her head, came back with overpriced groceries and a forced smile. I watched her unload organic kale and coconut water as if routine could hide guilt. The camera on her counter blinked red. Always recording. Always performing. That night, I logged into the shared business account one final time. The channel she thought was hers was legally ours. The contracts proved it. I rerouted the ad revenue into a new account under my sole name. Then, quietly, I sent an automated message to her sponsors, polite, professional, emotionless, informing them that she was taking a creative hiatus. Her phone started buzzing nonstop as the news spread through her circle. She looked at me, eyes wide, realizing I'd done something, though she couldn't prove what. I didn't deny it. I didn't explain. I just said one sentence before heading upstairs. You wanted no contact, remember? Her silence followed me up the stairs like a closing door. By the weekend, the silence had turned into pressure. She wasn't used to being ignored. Her followers kept asking why she'd gone dark, why her posts disappeared, why her comment section was locked. She crafted a long story about technical errors and personal growth, but every lie sounded hollow even to her. I could see it in her eyes when she glanced at me, fear disguised as annoyance. That's what happens when someone realizes the power source they depended on has been unplugged. She tried to rebuild, creating a backup channel under a new name. I watched from the couch, quietly connecting the dots. Same phone, same IP address, same vanity. Within an hour, the system flagged her new account as a duplicate. It wasn't sabotage, just her own carelessness. I didn't have to lift a finger. Her digital shadow was working against her. At night, she'd sit beside me scrolling her phone, pretending to text sponsors while sneaking glances at her notifications. I didn't ask. I didn't need to. Her desperation was visible in every restless movement. Once, she asked if I thought people could change. I told her data never lies. It just updates. She didn't reply. The next day, she tried to log into our joint business bank account. Denied. She asked if I'd changed the credentials. I said I'd secured them for compliance reasons. It was true in a way. Compliance with reality. Her face flushed, but she stayed quiet, maybe realizing that arguing would only reveal how much she'd lost. Later that evening, I received an email from Aiden. No greeting, no signature, just a warning to back off and let her live. Amateur mistake. He'd used his real gym address. I traced the message in under 30 seconds. I didn't respond. I didn't threaten him. I just opened a new folder labeled liability. When Maya finally came downstairs, she said she was thinking about taking another trip, something to clear her mind. I nodded, told her it might be good for both of us. She smiled, relieved. What she didn't know was that the next time she packed her bags, she wouldn't be the one leaving. She spent the next few days pretending everything was normal, moving around the house in carefully rehearsed silence. I could tell she was trying to figure out how much I knew. She'd leave her phone face down, clear her browser history, delete apps, then reinstall them. It was almost endearing, watching a fitness influencer attempt operational security. Every keystroke she made echoed through the systems I'd built years ago. I'd given her digital freedom once. Now I simply watched her run into her own cage. On Friday morning, she mentioned she was flying out to Dallas for a collaboration. She made sure to say it casually, waiting for me to react. I didn't. Just said, safe travels. She smiled, mistaking composure for permission. That evening, while she was packing ring lights and matching workout sets, I prepared the exit protocol. The car was fueled, the Subaru Outback packed with essentials, documents, backups, my equipment, nothing sentimental. When she finally left, I didn't follow her. I went to work. From my laptop, I transferred ownership of our company, reassigning all branding rights, bank accounts, and trademarks. Within minutes, every trace of her business identity was redirected to a new structure in my name. No noise, no drama, no confrontation. Just clean, silent execution. An hour later, her social accounts went into lockdown. Every link led to a single page. This user is under review. She texted me twice, then called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying she didn't understand what was happening. I listened to it once, then deleted it. By the next morning, I'd moved into a small rental across town, a place I'd secured weeks before under a secondary account. I sat on the floor with my laptop open, watching her story uploads vanish one by one. She was screaming into a digital void, and for the first time, the world wasn't listening. I didn't feel revenge. I felt balance. The noise was gone, and in that quiet, I could finally hear myself think. By Sunday, her messages shifted from confusion to panic. She wrote that her sponsors were threatening to pull contracts, that she couldn't access any of her analytics or payment dashboards. I kept reading them like case reports, time-stamped, emotional, predictable. She begged for a call, said we needed to talk, that she could fix this. I didn't reply. Silence was the only language that still held power. At noon, I checked the security logs. Her assistant had tried to reset passwords from an unknown device. I watched the failed attempts pile up, each one like a knock on a locked door. The irony wasn't lost on me. The influencer trapped outside her own account, asking permission to enter. I poured coffee, opened my notes, and began preparing my statement for the lawyers. Every step clean, documented, factual. The split wouldn't be a scandal. It would be a rebranding. By the time her plane landed from Dallas, the internet had already moved on. Her name trended briefly, then drowned under a wave of other noise. Attention is the shortest currency in the digital world. She'd built her empire on it, and now it was gone. That evening, she appeared at my new place. I saw her car through the blinds, headlights cutting through the dark. She knocked once, then again louder. I didn't open the door. Her voice trembled as she said she just wanted to talk, that she was sorry, that she didn't know what had gone wrong. I stood there quietly, listening to the woman who'd once told me no contact, now begging for it. After a while, the knocking stopped. The car door slammed, and the night grew still again. I looked at the reflection of my laptop screen, the login to our business page still open but under my name alone. She had wanted space. Now she had it. An entire digital universe of it. And I finally had peace, the kind that doesn't need an audience or a caption. The next morning, I found a letter taped to my door. Her handwriting, rushed, desperate. She said she couldn't sleep, that she just wanted to understand how everything had fallen apart. She blamed stress, trolls, fake rumors, anything but the truth. I folded the letter neatly, placed it in a folder marked Records, and went back to my coffee. Emotion doesn't belong in evidence. Work became simple again. No distractions, no staged content echoing through the house. I focused on consulting contracts, restoring order where chaos tried to creep in. Each day, I drove the Subaru out back to the office, listened to the quiet hum of the engine instead of motivational podcasts she used to blast. Peace has its own frequency once you learn to hear it. Then came the email from her lawyer. A polite request for negotiation. She wanted access to her digital assets, the brand name, and the platform we'd built together. The same empire she'd nearly burned for attention. I forwarded it to my attorney with a single line. All ownership is documented. Proceed accordingly. The law, like cybersecurity, rewards those who prepare quietly. That evening, curiosity made me check her new profile. A fresh account under a different name, new followers trickling in, smaller numbers, less shine. But her captions were different now. She wrote about accountability, about rebuilding. It was her way of staying visible, even in loss. The comments were kind, pitying. She didn't realize pity is just attention with an expiration date. I didn't hate her. Hate requires energy, and I'd already spent enough of it. I simply existed outside her network now, untagged, unlinked, unreachable. When the settlement papers arrived, I signed them without hesitation. She kept her name, her face, her followers, whatever was left of them. I kept the infrastructure, the foundation, the part that actually held value. Sometimes revenge isn't about striking back. It's about stepping out of frame and letting the picture collapse on its own. Weeks passed, and the noise finally faded. Her name stopped trending, her followers stopped asking questions, and sponsors quietly replaced her with newer faces. In the world she lived for, silence is a slow kind of death. She tried to relaunch her brand, but the numbers never recovered. The trust was gone. Attention had moved on, just like I had. I built something different. A consulting agency specializing in digital integrity, cybersecurity for creators who didn't want to make her mistake. Clients found me through word of mouth. My work spoke quietly but carried weight. I'd seen what happens when image replaces truth, when likes become oxygen. Now, I helped others breathe without it. One night, months later, she texted again. Said she was back in town, that she'd found a smaller apartment, that she was doing better. She wanted to meet, just to talk. I read the message twice, then turned off my phone. Closure doesn't come from conversation. It comes from consistency. I wasn't angry anymore. I just wasn't available. The next morning, I stopped at Whole Foods for coffee. She was there, standing by the self-checkout line, her phone in one hand, her expression half recognizing me, half pretending not to. She looked smaller somehow. No ring light, no filter, just human. For a second, I almost felt something like pity. But pity, like love, still feeds connection. And I was done feeding anything that drained me. I nodded once, a polite acknowledgement between two strangers who once shared everything. She opened her mouth to say something, but I was already walking toward the door. Outside, the air was clean, the morning quiet. I unlocked my car and sat for a moment, letting the silence settle. In a world addicted to noise, the absence of it feels like power. She had spent years chasing visibility. I had learned to master invisibility. And between those two extremes, I finally found balance. 6 months later, I barely recognized the man in the mirror. The weight around my eyes was gone, the kind that comes from constant vigilance. My days were structured but quiet. Morning runs, black coffee, client meetings that ended on time. The company had grown faster than expected. Word spread that I was the guy who could make data clean again, who could restore what chaos had corrupted. Maybe because I'd done it for myself first. Occasionally, her name would surface online. A podcast interview here, a half-hearted comeback there. She talked about lessons learned, about losing everything to find herself. It wasn't bitterness I felt. It was distance. Like watching a movie you've already seen, knowing exactly how it ends. She was still chasing relevance. I was learning the value of privacy. One evening, while driving home, I passed a billboard featuring a new influencer campaign. Different face, same slogans. It struck me how replaceable the spotlight makes everyone. I parked the Subaru Outback in front of my apartment and just sat there, listening to the hum of the city fade. That sound, the quiet before night settles, is what peace really is. I logged into my system to finalize a project. The dashboard blinked with clean metrics, no clutter, no drama. Efficiency restored. For a moment, I thought about sending her one last message. Something simple, like, take care. But then I realized silence said it better. Silence was the full stop at the end of a long sentence that didn't need rewriting. Before shutting down my laptop, I wrote one final note in my personal log. Control isn't about holding on. It's about letting go cleanly. I closed the lid, turned off the lights, and let the screen's glow fade into darkness. Some people need applause to know they're alive. I'd learned to live without an audience. And in that quiet, no notifications, no echoes, I finally understood the truth. She had chased followers. I had found freedom. Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories.